GM mechanics have been saying it for years. 5 specific GM trucks are absolute nightmares to repair. One of them has a cylinder deactivation system that mechanics say was designed to fail, and in some cases the repair bill runs more than the truck is worth. Another has a defect buried so deep in the engine that by the time you hear the tick, the camshaft is already involved, and the teardown quote starts at $8,000. And there is a GM truck on used lots right now, where a seized engine at 50,000 miles will set you back $12,000 on a truck you are still making payments on. These are not just unreliable trucks. They are financial traps with a paper trail most buyers never find until the repair order is already written. If you are shopping a used GM truck in 2026, this video could save you from a bill that costs more than what you still owe on the loan. Professional mechanics see it every week. They know which trucks will come back. They know what parts to always keep in stock for certain GM models. And they know what GM will tell customers when these trucks come in, and they know it is not the full story. Today I am covering what GM dealers are seeing week after week in their service bays and what the manufacturer has not been putting on any window sticker. These are not opinions. NHTSA's own database has nearly 600,000 of these trucks in a documented failure window right now. Mechanics who work on these trucks week after week say the same thing. I already know the job before the owner finishes their sentence. The only question is whether they want to hear the number. If you want to know what that number looks like before you sign anything, subscribe now. Because what is coming is worse than most GM owners realize. These are the 5 GM trucks mechanics are begging you not to buy in 2026. Number 5. The Chevrolet Silverado and GMC Sierra 1500 with the 5.3-liter V8, model years 2007 through 2013. These trucks are selling used right now for approximately $10,000 to $28,000. The price is right, and the 5.3 has a reputation for running forever. That reputation is real, but it belongs to a version of this engine GM stopped building the year before these trucks came out. Every Silverado and Sierra 1500 with the 5.3 from 2007 onward has active fuel management, GM's system for deactivating 4 cylinders under light load to hit fuel economy targets. It uses collapsible components that have to snap back into position every time the engine fires again. Think of it like a ballpoint pen clicking in and out thousands of times an hour. The spring that makes that click is the part that wears out. When it goes, the engine does not fix itself. GM put that failure in writing. Their own service bulletin, TSB 1506-01002F, documents collapsed lifters, bent push rods, damaged camshaft lobes, $3,500 to $8,000, depending on how far the damage spread before you hear the tick. But here is what mechanics really hate about this generation. There is a $200 fix that stops this from ever happening. Most buyers shopping these trucks used have no idea it exists, and by the time they find out, the engine has already started ticking. Before you buy any 2007 to 2013 Silverado or Sierra with the 5.3, check the diagnostic port under the dash for an AFM disabler. If it is there, this truck is a different animal. 2010 through 2013 are cleaner than 2007 through 2009 within this generation. Number 4. The Chevrolet Silverado and GMC Sierra 1500 with the 5.3-liter L83 V8, model years 2014 through 2018. These trucks are selling used right now for approximately $18,000 to $42,000. This is the most common GM truck on the used market right now, and the generation with the highest concentration of documented AFM complaints in the NHTSA database. Same system as number 5, same collapsible lifters, same failure mode, just more of them failing on more trucks. GM put out that service bulletin in 2015, TSB 150601002F, and I want to be clear about what that means, because it matters. A service bulletin is not a recall. A recall means GM notifies every owner and the repair is free. A bulletin means the dealer service department gets a document. You do not get a letter. You find out when the engine starts ticking. $3,500 to $8,000, depending on how far the damage spread. There is an active class action against GM covering these engines. 2014 through 2021. It has not settled. But here is what mechanics really hate about this generation. GM issued that bulletin in 2015 and kept selling the same engine for 3 more years without a recall. They knew. They kept going. The AFM disabler works on this generation the same way it does on number 5. Same question. Check the diagnostic port before you make an offer. 2014 through 2016 carry the highest complaint density. 2017 and 2018 are still in the class action window, but show lower numbers. If you own one of these trucks and have already dealt with this, drop the year, the mileage, and what it set you back in the comments. Number 3. The Chevrolet Silverado and GMC Sierra 1500 with the 5.3-liter L84 V8, model years 2019 through 2024. These trucks are selling used right now for approximately $28,000 to $55,000. The most common engine in the most common trims at the most common price point on the used market right now. And the generation with a specific production window GM documented internally and never communicated to the owners who already drove those trucks home. GM replaced AFM with dynamic fuel management in 2019. DFM is more complex, but it has the same failure mode underneath and a higher failure rate. Some 2019 trucks use the older AFM system instead. If you are shopping that year, check the door jam sticker for the engine RPO code. L84 means DFM. L82 means the older AFM. In late 2021, GM identified a specific batch of engines built between approximately September 2020 and March 31, 2021, where the lifters were failing at under 10,000 miles. GM sent their own dealers a service update, N212353840, telling them to replace both banks of lifters before delivery. That instruction went to the dealer, not to the owners already driving those trucks home. When the engine failed, owners were looking at $5,000 to $9,000 out of pocket. In the worst documented cases, the bill hit $15,000. One owner on GM Authority installed a DFM disabler at 500 miles and still had a bent pushrod and collapsed lifter at 4,400 miles because on the bad batch the failure was in the lifter itself before the engine ever fired. But here is what mechanics really hate about this generation. GM knew which engines left the lot with defective lifters. They told their dealers. They did not tell the owners. That is not a parts issue. That is a decision about what information leaves the building. The same class action covering number 4 extends to 2021 model year trucks. If you own a 2019 through 2024 Silverado or Sierra with the 5.3-liter, check your oil level between changes. Down a quart early is the first sign. If you are shopping one, the door jam build date tells you whether the truck falls inside that September 2020 through March 31st, 2021 window. Because the 6.2 has a worse paper trail than any of this. Number 2. The Chevrolet Tahoe, Suburban, GMC Yukon, Yukon XL, and Cadillac Escalade with the 6.2-liter L87 V8, model years 2021 through 2024. These vehicles are selling used right now between approximately $45,000 and $85,000. Same engine as number 1, different vehicle, and at this price point, the financial stakes are different. If you are shopping a full-size GM SUV right now, this is likely the engine under the hood of the trim you want, and it is inside an active recall and an open second federal investigation. In April 2025, GM issued a recall, NHTSA 25 V274, covering 597,630 trucks and SUVs with the L87. The problem traced back to a supplier, components arriving with sediment already in the oil passages. Manufacturing damage that starts before the owner ever notices anything wrong. GM's own investigation found 28,102 complaints, 14,332 involving loss of propulsion while driving, 42 fires. GM's fix was to have dealers inspect the engine, switch it to a heavier oil, and hand the owner an updated manual. But here is what mechanics really hate about this one. In January 2026, NHTSA opened a second federal investigation, RQ2 Escalade 6001, because 36 owners reported engine failure after the recall remedy was already done. These were trucks that had already been through the recall, passed the inspection, got the heavier oil, and then the engine seized anyway. When a recall remedy fails 36 times, the recall being done is not the end of the conversation. The build date on the door jamb tells you if your truck falls in that window, March 2021 through May 2024. Run the vehicle identification number at NHTSA.gov before you sign. Link in the description. Number 1. The Chevrolet Silverado and GMC Sierra 1500 with the 6.2-liter L87 V8, model years 2019 through 2024. These trucks are selling used right now for approximately $40,000 to $68,000. The 6.2 is the engine most Silverado buyers want when they can afford it. More power, higher trim, the upgrade on the window sticker. If I were shopping a used Silverado and the price worked, I would look at the 6.2 too. But this is the only engine on this list with an active second federal investigation running against it after a completed recall. The same recall covering the Tahoe and Suburban at number 2 covers 107,244 Silverado 1500s, trucks built between March 1st, 2021 and May 31st, 2024. 2019 and 2020, L87 trucks fall outside that window because the manufacturing defect entered production in early 2021, but outside the recall does not mean clean. The owner who bought it for the upgrade found out what that upgrade actually cost at 53,000 miles. The engine seized, $12,000 on a truck, still under payments. And the last thing he found out was that GM had already identified this failure pattern before his truck left the lot. One owner on GM Authority described it this way: left side lifter and bent pushrod at 27,500 miles. Dealership replaced everything. 5 months later, it collapsed again. He said he was very tempted to get rid of it. 5 months, same truck, same dealer. That is the federal record on the engine GM is selling as the upgrade. But here is what mechanics really hate about the number 1 truck on this list. The premium engine GM charges extra for is the only engine here where the federal government had to look at it twice because the first fix did not hold. The 5.3 has a class action. The 6.2 has a class action, a recall, and a second federal probe. That is, the engine GM is putting in the LTZ and the high country and calling it the top option. The window sticker never mentioned any of that. If this is the first time you are hearing about a second federal investigation, after a completed recall on a truck you might be about to buy, subscribe, because here is what you can actually buy instead. If you are buying new in 2026, Dynamic Fuel Management, DFM, is still active on current production V8 Silverados and Sierras. The honest answer for a new purchase is a plug-in Dynamic Fuel Management disabler, around $200, installed the day you take delivery. It stops the system from ever activating. If you are shopping a used 2021, look for RPO code YK9 on the glove box sticker. That is GM's own code for trucks built during the chip shortage without the deactivation software active. Most sellers have no idea it exists. If you want something used and modern, consider the 2024 Silverado or Sierra with the 2.7-liter Turbo Max. It does not carry the active fuel management or dynamic fuel management class action. It has its own documented issues worth researching, but the paper trail on the V8 does not follow it. If budget is the constraint, look at the pre-2007 Silverado or Sierra 1500 with the 5.3-liter. No active fuel management, no dynamic fuel management, no class action. On Car Gurus right now for under $15,000. The door jamb sticker tells you the year. Check the frame for rust before anything else. Run the vehicle identification number at NHTSA.gov. Free. Link in the description. Which of these 5 trucks surprised you the most? If you own one, drop the year, the mileage, and what it set you back in the comments. That information is worth more to the next buyer than anything on the window sticker. If this video found you before you signed paperwork on one of these trucks, that is exactly what this channel is here for. Subscribe.